Morning. Here? Yes. No, that's fine. Pringles? I went three times at once.
No, recording. Good morning, commissioners. We're going to go ahead and get started. Today's, I'm sorry.
Is there anybody?
Yes, I don't know who's online, but we do have a quorum today, Thursday, May 18th, 2023. Good morning, commissioners. Just a quick reminder, as always, this is a time just for commissioners to ask questions of staff, comments, positions, concerns, all that kind of thing is best for the horseshoe. So let's do that. We do have a pretty deep docket here, so we're going to keep things moving pretty crisp and in the pocket. So we're going to jump right in. Just a quick note on the docket. So the consent agenda cases 3, 4, 6, and 7 will come off consent.
3,
4, 6, and 7. Maybe more, but at this point, only 3, 4, 6, and 7. Number 6 and 7 will be held under advisement. Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Still loading, so
Is that correct? 6 and 7, right?
my agenda's still loading.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, 6 and 7 will be held under advisement, so we'll brief them at some other point. Number 10, we have a conflict by Commissioner Anthony get your house right. Number 11 will be held under advisement till June 15th.
Oh, what was the last one?
Number 11.
No.
And we have 2 conflicts. 11 held under advisement till June 15th.
But 10 we get some here.
Yes, yeah, we'll do. Yeah, we'll do number 10. Number 12 held under advisement June 1st. And number 16 also held under advisement June 15th. We'll get started with case number 1. Yes, sir. Yes, please.
District 1? District 1.
Absent today.
District 2? District 3?
Present.
District 4?
Present.
District 4?
He's online.
Present.
District 5?
Present.
District 6? District 6?
He's not. Is she online?
No, I think she does. District 7? District 7? District 8? Hey, I'm here. District 9, absent. District 10?
Present.
District 11?
Here.
District 12? District 12?
Yes.
District 13?
Here.
District 14? And like 15. I'm here.
Thank you very much. Christina, we'll go ahead and get started with case number 1.
Good morning, commissioners. Can you hear me? Can people online hear? Commissioner Anderson? Yes, thank you. The first case is Z212351 is a renewal of an SUV for alcohol sales in conjunction with the general merchandise food store less than 3,500 square feet. Is located in South Area 4 of Development District 366, the Buckner Boulevard Special Purpose District. It has a D1 liquor control overlay, hence the need for an SUP for alcohol sales. It's located on the southeast corner of Elam Road and Buckner Boulevard. It is a bit over half an acre. Location is in southeast Dallas. As I was saying, southeast corner, you can see it's in conjunction with the general merchandise, in conjunction with the gas station. It is four-corner retail type of situation. There is auto service to the north, single family further northeast, an office in the back, a medical office to the south, and a dark rail station on the west. The zoning map, there are a few SUPs in the area. I was looking to see what are they for and what is their time frame, just to like see how the area works SUP wise. I highlighted the ones that are for similar type of use. A little bit of a history because this SUP is a third or fourth renewal right now. So this ED defaults to IM. The use is again the D liquor control overlay is the one that kicks in the SUP. It's a renewal. The first SUP 1850 was approved in 2011. It was renewed in 13, 15, 2021, and now it's up for renewal again. It's a bigger building, but only a small portion of the building, the convenience store that's 3,000 square feet is the one that's doing the alcohol sales. They have a CO, certificate of occupancy, issued in 2020. This is a gas station. This is a DART shelter right on the side. Gas station with actually the convenience store associated with the gas station. From inside the property, this is a view from Elam Road with the giant curb cuts, and it's an existing situation, is what it is. The only little change that they had, and I will indicate it on the site plan, is the dumpster has a slightly different orientation from the previous site plan. Surrounding uses the DART station across, auto services across to the north, office to the east, and then the medical office to the south. This is the site plan. I said no changes. There is a little bit of an adjustment. If you see my cursor, this is the dumpster that in the previous site plan was a little bit oriented differently. And now they just, it's basically an update to show the reality on the ground. No changes to the SUP conditions other than this is what happened last time. So all of those amendments happened last time for this SUP condition round, only the time frame changes. Staff recommendation approval for a 3-year period with eligibility for automatic renewals for additional 5-year period subject to conditions and the site plan.
Thank you very much. Questions from the insurance?
I just want a clarification, please. You did say that I read it wrong. It's a 3-year period. That was going for 5 years. Okay. I read 5, didn't see the 3. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, Commissioner? Okay, number 2, please.
Just a second so I can switch between presentation. Z223 118, it's again a renewal of SUP of an SUP for alcohol sales in conjunction with the general merchandise land less than 3,500 square feet. It's SUP 2316. Is located on an RR regional retail with the D1 liquor control overlay, northeast side of East Ledbetter Drive, south and east of South Arnell Thornton Freeway. It's 1.9 acres. It's south, further south Dallas. This is the aerial of the property, surrounded by Ledbetter retail, a hotel, multifamily, some auto-related uses, and commercial amusement inside to the south across Ledbetter. I zoomed out a little bit to see how far it's from single family and what's happening across the freeway. It is in an RR area. It doesn't have HFCC with other type of uses. There is a multifamily further east, as I was saying. This SUP has a history of SUPs for this type of use at the location, but it's sometimes lapsed. So I found a little bit of value in adding the fact that it was an SUP before, but then in 2019 they came back with this one. It was renewed. It was recreated in 2019, renewed in 2021, and they do have a CO since November 2019. This is the view of the gas station from Ledbetter. This is inside the property, the convenience store inside the property, frontage on Ledbetter. Same inside the property, different views. Surrounding uses across the street is a commercial amusement inside, as I was saying. It's retail. It's a retail strip with some oriented on the east. There's a creek in the back. Also, what I asked them is to update their site plan because of so many iterations. It was a better, not such a good quality. No changes, no nothing. It's just that it's being redrawn so we can easily read it. No changes to the SUP conditions other than we'll have to change the time frame. Staff recommendation is approval for a 2-year period with eligibility for automatic renewals for additional 2-year period subject to site plan and conditions.
Thank you very much. Questions? Any questions on this item? Commissioner Henderson, nothing. There we go. Any? No, none from you, sir. Thank you.
I have no questions. I have met with the applicant. Well, I've talked with the applicant, and I know the location really well, and kind of know what kind of revitalization is trying to happen in that area. So I have no questions.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any questions? Okay, keep moving to case number 3. Ms. Munoz, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, but a lot of them.
And I plan to brief these two side by side since they are at the same site, 2 separate requests, which are dependent, or the second one is dependent upon the first.
Yes, please.
Thank you. So Z223, 123, and 124. We have an application to amend sub-district number 1 within Plan Development District number 842 with an MD1 modified delta overlay. And then the second case, 124, is an application for a specific use permit to operate a late hours establishment as defined in the amended sub-district 1 as proposed in the previous case. The applicant is proposing to operate a retail and personal service use during late hours.
And
Yes.
we're not seeing your presentation.
Interesting. Just a sec. Can you see it now?
Yeah, it's coming.
Okay, we can see your screen now.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for letting me know. So as I was mentioning, 123 is the sub-district number 1 amendment to modify the definition of a late hours establishment for specific hours being extended for permitted use in sub-district 1. And 124 is the request for a specific use permit for that late hours establishment with the amended hours of operation. So they are proposing to operate a retail and personal service use during these new late hours for this sub-district defined as being an operation that is operating between 7 p.m. and 10 p.m. with a specific use permit. Originally, this site was rezoned in 2018, which created the sub-district number 1 and eliminated the parking requirement for certain retail, personal service, and office uses, but requires that they close by 7 p.m. to offset traffic and parking issues in the Greenville area. This request seeks to basically extend that parking reduction by allowing the use to continue only by SUP during the hours of 7 to 10 p.m. And of course, this property is located in Lower Greenville, north of Ross and east of 75. Here's an aerial map showing you the developed nature of the Greenville Avenue area, and a zoning map showing you the surrounding SUPs in the area. And the subject site encompasses all of the sub-district 1 area. And then additionally, we have sub-district 2 located to the southeast across Greenville. We have several different uses, including a financial institution to the north, and then several retail, including with late hours restaurants without drive-throughs located to the north, east, and south, and a commercial parking lot located to the west. Here we are looking at the subject site. It's Feng Cha, located on Greenville on the west side. And these are the properties that are contiguous, located to the north of this suite. And then this is across Greenville to the east. And directly adjacent to Hyde is Rye, which is the subject of another case today. And now we're looking south of the site. We have the Crow and other restaurant uses to the south. Excuse me. This is the existing conceptual plan, or excuse me, sub-district map. Sorry about that label. There's no change that's being requested here. So sub-district 1 would be maintained in its entirety. It's just the change of the definition of what a late hours establishment is in this sub-district to allow them to operate from 7 to 10 for retail or personal service use. The Transportation Development Services Division did review the request and determined that it would not significantly impact the surrounding roadway system and recommended, well, had no objection to the request. Here is the proposed site plan. It just identifies the suite that Feng Chao currently operates within, Suite 130, and contains just under 1,200 square feet. They do provide a parking breakdown of what the uses would be. And then here is the proposed SUP conditions, which just allow the late hours establishment limited to retail or personal service use to operate for a 2-year initial period within up to 1,200 square feet. And that late hours is defined as 7 to 10. So it would include just those hours for the late hours establishment from 7 to 10 p.m. with outside speakers being prohibited. The extension of time for these land uses and the fact that they could be managed through the SUP process was found to not be incompatible with the area. It seems to be compatible with the surrounding land uses. And if the SUP is granted at the public hearing, it gives the businesses and residents the opportunity to continue to contribute their opinion and discuss the operation over time and how it changes or how it's being ran over time to see that it continues to be compatible with the neighborhood and the surrounding land uses. So staff is in agreement that we recommend approval of the request for both the PD amendment as well as for the SUP request. Overall, we do believe that it would not cause any severe issues for the area, and specifically the SUP process would help to weed out or establish any issues of concern over time to gauge the overall appropriateness of this use at the site. So again, staff recommendation for the PD amendment is approval. There are no plans associated with that. The SUP is approval for a 2-year period subject to the site plan that was submitted and conditions.
Thank you very much. Yes, questions, Commissioner Hauser.
Just curious, do all businesses in this PD need an SUP to be open after 7 p.m.?
No, it's specific to sub-district number 1.
I can't hear it.
Can you say?
One, where this one is.
But all the businesses in sub-district 1 have to have an SUP to be open after 7.
Yes.
That's correct. Just sub-district 1.
Thank you, Commissioner Treadway.
So where are they supposed to park? Where are they parking now, and where would they park from 7 to 10?
So the PD does not require them to provide parking in this sub-district for these uses, including for office use.
Sure.
I understand that, but my question is, people aren't walking like to these three establishments. So where are they currently parking? Are
That's a
there
great question.
parking lots nearby? Like, can you help explain how it's currently parking?
Yes, I mean, this is the Greenville area, so there's both parking on street as well as parking nearby, like in the one parking lot that I showed you in the surrounding photos. For required parking is what we had to take into consideration. There is none required for these uses. So specific to these requests, they are in compliance. As far as if you would like more detailed information as to how they're meeting demand at the site, I would suggest that you ask Mr. Baldwin, the representative, about that during the hearing.
Okay, and where is the yoga studio? I saw it for the sugaring and the boba tea place, but where's the yoga studio?
I did not see their sign posted outside, so I'm not sure either.
Because that's one of the requests. Does it exist?
I did pull a CO that did include a yoga studio. But as I mentioned, if there's no public display of a sign outside, I can't tell you exactly where it could be. But I may have missed it. Did anyone else happen to see it in the photos that I showed?
Well, if they're asking for personal services use, it seems like that should be part of the process to confirm that that is happening.
You know, the request being made is specific to the site plan as well, which shows just Feng Sha and a requirement of up to 1,200 square feet, which is the entirety of the suite for Feng Sha.
Okay, sorry, I think I'm not clear enough. So the 1,200.
They considered the category of retail or personal service uses, in my opinion, rather than it just being the retail use of a general merchandise or food store. I believe that's how they stated the request, when it should just be a general merchandise or food store.
So are we talking about 1,200 square foot space that potentially has all three of these items inside it? They're not separately designated?
That's correct. And so what you have to remember is that there's two elements, two requests. Number one includes all the suites, because that's allowing them to operate between the hours of 7 to 10 by SUP. The SUP further narrows the request down to just the suite for Feng Sha. That's the one that's currently seeking the SUP to ask for those late hours between 7 to 10. The yoga studio and sugaring, those two are not requesting that. They would still be required to close at 7 p.m. And then if they chose to, if the PD amendment is approved today, then they would be allowed to submit a request for a specific use permit upon public input and, decision by city council. Then they'd be able to operate for as late as up to 10 p.m., depending on the stipulations of their SUP.
Okay.
So I think that's also causing some confusion here, is the separation between the PD amendment, including the whole site, the whole subdistrict, and the SUP request being for one suite out of that subdistrict. Does that help?
Yes, thank you. I'm clear now. I appreciate it.
Commissioner Spanner.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Munoz. I'm not looking at the case report now, but I just want to clarify something. Isn't there a sort of overlay on this area that makes it 7 p.m. for all of the area 6 or 7? Is there something or is it the PD that says that?
It's just the PD. So the PD defines late hours uses, or late hours establishments, I should say, and then restricts them. And then they were further restricted with the creation of Subdistrict 1 and Subdistrict 2. Specific to this site, Subdistrict 1 was created in 2018, and it allows that late hours establishment use still, which is separate to the PD. The PD itself defines the late hours establishment use, which is anything that's operating after midnight. Then the subdistrict further tighten the restrictions on the late hours establishment use and all uses at the site to be until 7 p.m. if they expected to have that parking reduction. So if they can provide full parking, they could operate past 7 p.m.
Got it. So so just to follow, the parking past 7.
I'm very sorry, Commissioner Stannard, but I'm losing the connection to the room. And so I did not hear your question. Would you please repeat it?
Yes, and you know how well. Okay, so following Commissioner Treadwell's about parking, so are you saying that in order to go past 7 p.m., according to the PDs, that this establishment would be required to provide additional parking to be able to be at 10 p.m.? Right now,
Right now, yes, that's correct.
Is that okay? Just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions on these two items, commissioners? The applicant is here, so we'll be happy to entertain the questions at the horseshoe. We'll keep moving to case number 5. Ms. Munoz, staying with you.
Is this different? Yeah. Okay, several signs.
Can everyone see my presentation?
Not yet.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Great, thank you so much. Z223128. This is a request to renew specific use permit number 2377 for a commercial motor vehicle parking use. The property is currently zoned as IR, Industrial Research District, and contains about 2 acres. The SUP expired on April 22nd, but the application was filed in accordance with our code requirements on November the 9th, 2022. The commercial motor vehicle parking use is actually allowed by right in this district, except for when it's located within 500 feet of a residential district. And this site is about 350 feet from an R75A, which is separated by warehouse use from the subject site, as you can see here. Now, the property is located in Northwest Dallas. It's on the southwest corner of Dairy Milk and Zodiac Lanes, east of Las Colinas and I-35 east and southeast of Farmers Branch. Here is an aerial map showing the area. You see lots of warehouses all in the vicinity, and then that residential district that's located farther to the east. The property itself here under SUP currently, and then not developed as shown there. The surrounding land uses are all office, showroom, warehouse with a single family in addition to the east. And here we're looking at a photo from Dairy Milk Lane. And this is from Zodiac Lane. As you see, there is a little hill or a little rise in the topography in that site. Here are the surrounding land uses adjacent to the property to the west, and now we're looking west on Dairy Milk Lane. This is across to the north on Dairy Milk Lane. All the warehouse uses you see in the vicinity. And now we're crossing over to Zodiac Lane. And this is adjacent to the south on Zodiac Lane. And this is just a view looking south on Zodiac Lane. So overall, there have been updates to the plans. And what I mean by that is I gave a little history of this in the case report, but I'll remind you here is There was a minor amendment to the approved SUP site and landscape plans, and that minor amendment is being carried forward with this SUP renewal, and it is plans that show a reduction of overall spaces from 62 to 58 spaces. They showed where the floodplain is located on the site to the south, and they've provided a drainage area along the Zodiac Lane embankment and closed the third driveway onto Zodiac Lane in order to allow for those drainage improvements. The previous plan also required a 4-foot screening fence at the perimeter of the site, and now instead landscaping is provided surrounding the property with over 182 shrubs, large amount of grass, and 37 trees for mitigation purposes. Those plans were all previously approved under the minor amendment that came to CPC, and I'll show you those plans in just a moment. So here's the original SUP site plan that came to CPC back in 2020. And then here is the minor amendment site plan that shows the drainage improvement, the closed driveway, the floodplains, and the reduction in the overall parking spaces, and the removal of that screening fence. This is the proposed SUP site plan, which matches that, and it shows the delineation of the area a little bit better and the details of the parking reduction. And then here was the original landscape plan. As you can see, they have the fence along the perimeter and shrubs along the perimeter and trees, I believe. But now this is the one that was approved with the minor amendment, which shows you without the fence, with additional trees and shrubs. And then that's been carried forward once again with some more detail about the floodplain added in here. So this is the proposed SUP landscape plan. These have been confirmed by the arborist to show that they have been reviewed and previously approved, and they are matching what was last approved by CPC. The amending SUP conditions are just increasing the time or renewing the time period for a new 3-year period. Nothing else is changing. The surface material has to be concrete or asphalt. They have their ingress and egress as shown on these revised plans, so removing one driveway, and the landscaping per the plan. So staff recommendation is approval for a 3-year period subject to the revised site plan, revised landscape plan, and conditions.
Thank you, Ms. Munoz. Questions, Commissioners? Questions on this item? We'll keep moving. Case number 6 will be held under advisement. 7, do we have a date on those, Commissioner Kingston?
I'm sorry?
Do you have a date on when we'll be hearing 6 and 7?
I think we said July 6th.
July 6th. Okay. So we'll go to case number 8. Mr. Petty, are you online, sir? Ms. Munoz, if you're still online, you can hear me. We'll come back to Mr. Beckley. We'll go to case number 9 if you're ready.
Is it repeat?
You should be. Is that Ms. Munoz?
Yes, I can go ahead and brief case number 9 right now if you'd like.
Please, if you don't mind.
Certainly.
In fact, we'll go ahead and do 9 and 10. And I think it's okay. We'll come back. She has 9 cases.
Jennifer didn't have anything to do the last 2 weeks.
No, not at all. So this next one is Z212275. It's an application for a specific use permit for a public school other than an open enrollment charter school on property that's zoned in R75A. It's located at the southwest corner of Drury Drive and South Polk Street, and it's on about 5.5 acres of land. It is a site that's currently developed with an elementary school, the Adele Turner Elementary School, and they're seeking this SUP in order to allow for an expansion or an addition of an administrative office area that's just under 5,000 square feet. The school will continue to serve grades pre-K through 5th grade and includes 31 existing classrooms. So the only thing being added is office space, and it's located on the north side by Drury Lane. The property is in the Wolf Creek area, east of Redbird area and Marvin D. Love Freeway. And here's an aerial map showing the property. It is on the same block as right here. We have the high school that we last, now I can't remember if it's a high school or middle school, but that we last approved back in February. This site, however, was pending action by the Board of Adjustment due to the encroachment in the front yard area along Drury that was proposed with this addition. And now they did go to the Board of Adjustment on Monday, and I'll give you more details about that shortly. So the surrounding land uses and zoning here, as you can see, all surrounding properties are zoned in R75A, and the residential uses exist to the north, east, farther to the south, and to the west. We have the second public school that's located on the same block, and then 2 churches, one to the north and one to the south within the same block. And here we are looking at the subject site from Drury Drive. And this is west on Drury Drive, looking at the athletic field for the other school. And at the corner of Regatta Drive. And just taking a tour of that other school property. So this is south of the site on Reynoldston, and now we're looking up towards the property on Polk Street. The existing church to the south. And now this is the site, Turner Elementary. So this would be the location of the improvements that's proposed. As you can see, there are several trees in this area. The addition was proposed right here where these trees are going to be, but outside of their area, so they would be maintained.
I think the trees will be maintained. So they'll stay and be maintained, is that what she said?
Yes, the trees will be maintained.
It's an addition.
Yes, it's just the addition in that vicinity. And then here is a parking lot that's located to the west of the elementary school as well, and single family uses located across Drury. Now, a preliminary plat was submitted and approved by commission back in May of 2022, which established the building site for the school and maintained the configuration of these lots, which required them to then assess the site and identify that this is a front yard along Drury Drive, along with the one along South Polk. So specifically, this property is encumbered with 2 front yards and has to provide a 25-foot setback on both. They had not planned for that when they did their design for the addition to this school and the office. And it was going to be very difficult for them to redesign the office since it's already established on that corner of the school. They did decide to take the request to the Board of Adjustment, and please excuse me, it actually wasn't a variance. They applied for a special exception under a special rule that allows special exceptions for tree preservation to the front yard setback requirements, and it was granted on Monday. They are held to the same site plan that was submitted for review here today. So the SUP site plan proposed is the same one that was approved by the Board of Adjustment for that special exception to the front yard requirements on Drury Drive to maintain those trees in that area. So rather than extending the office here to the west and cutting down trees, or to the east, all located within or outside of that front yard setback requirement, they've chosen to go further towards the center in one small block that goes out towards Drury Drive into that front yard setback in order to preserve those existing trees. So here again is the SUP site plan. Now that we've cleared that issue, now we can talk about the actual school and the site itself. These are the existing conditions of the school, and this is that 5,000 square foot addition as proposed. And then, of course, the operation of the school will be maintained throughout. They have accepted the standard conditions that we have created for schools through the hard work of Jennifer Algeier and the ISD together in partnership. So they do plan to provide this site plan with the SUP, the landscaping for Article 10, and then sidewalks, a 6-foot wide unobstructed width with 5-foot buffer along the edge and pedestrian amenities as required. And then they have provided a traffic management plan as well, which is here and shows you the queuing area that they have along Drury Drive to the north for the school. And then the access point over here to the east along South Polk Street. And this, of course, has been reviewed by Mr. Nevarez, and then we have it signed in the docket materials for this case, the signed TMP from the official of the school as well. So staff recommendation is approval of the SUP request subject to a site plan, traffic management plan, and conditions.
Thank you, Ms. Munoz. Questions, Commissioners? Commissioner Standard, please.
Just one quick question, just because I'm curious. With the addition, and because the Board of Adjustment granted it, that they didn't have to adhere with the addition to the setback, what is the distance from Drury to the addition?
It's been a whole 3 months, I think, since I measured that. So let me not go off of memory, and I'll open the plan real quick and let you know.
Oh, that's okay. Thanks.
We'll circle back to that. Any other questions, Commissioners?
It's approximately 19 feet. So they are located 6 feet within the front yard setback.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll keep going to case number 10. The record reflected Commissioner Hampton and Commissioner Hauser have a conflict on this item and are stepping out of the briefing room. Oh, she's not here. No. Oh. Okay, Ms. Munoz, we'll circle back to you. My apologies, Commissioners. Ms. Munoz, we'll come back. We'll go to Mr. Pepe in number 8.
Thank you.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Good morning.
Great. Good to see you all. Can you see my slides just fine?
Yes, we can.
Whoops. There we go. Okay, so this is the 223139. It's located in far southeast Dallas. It's an application for a specific use permit for a mini warehouse on property zoned CR, Community Retail District, on the east corner of Lawson Road and Lassiter Road. And the purpose of the request is to develop a mini warehouse facility on the site. The area request is 3.6 acres. And the purpose of the request is to develop that mini warehouse on the site. Mini warehouse is basically a self-storage facility for anyone not aware yet. And so here's the aerial view of the site. It's currently undeveloped. It's pretty close to I-20, and it's currently undeveloped, but then it's fronting on Lawson, on Lassiter, and East Old Lawson Road. So to the north is outside city limit. That's the city of Mesquite along the whole northern boundary. Anywhere to the north, there's a warehouse to the east, zoned CS. There's some undeveloped or agricultural property to the southeast, and there's undeveloped property to the southwest, public school to the west, some undeveloped to the west, and then circle back to Mesquite city limit. So the area of request is currently undeveloped, and it's zoned CR. They're proposing a 19,000 square foot mini warehouse use. The code defines a mini warehouse use as a building or group of buildings containing one or more individual compartmentalized storage units for the inside storage of customers' goods or wares, where no unit exceeds 500 square feet in floor area. The proposed use is allowed within CR, subject to a SUP. Their SUP conditions are as follows. Many of the standard conditions, including adherence to the site plan, a period of 5 years, a maximum floor area, hours of operation between 7 and 7 daily, no storage of outside vehicles, equipment, or other materials. Outside speakers are prohibited. Lighting, exterior lighting sources must be pointed down and onto the property daylight and generally away from residential property, and the other typical conditions. So, getting to the site, looking northwest, this is Old Lawson Road. Looking at the site, and our warehouse is on our right. And then farther south is a little bit more of the undeveloped property. And then farther south, more of the existing property. And then the current Lawson Road's on the west border. On the backside, you can see where the truck is. That's Lawson Road, regular Lawson Road, not old. Moving further south on the site as we continue. And then we're at the corner of Lassiter and Old Lawson. And then that's Lawson Road and Lassiter. It's a large intersection. And then I'm turning around the corner, going up regular Lawson and looking at the undeveloped property, looking at City Mesquite property. Then that's flipping around the agricultural property to the southeast. Also southeast, south of Old Lawson Road. And then there's a newly installed DWU facility on the agricultural property. And then this is looking south on Lassiter at a agricultural property, and then an undeveloped property to the southwest across Lassiter. And another one, you can see the public school in the west. So here's the site plan as they've submitted it. Depicts 3 storage facility buildings, access from Lawson. There's a fence around the property, except for the portion containing the office. Meeting the base development standards of CR Community Retail. Approval and staff recommendation is approval for a 5-year period, subject to a site plan and conditions.
Thank you, sir. Questions, Commissioner Blair?
Question is mini warehouse, the terminology now being used for self-storage?
That's correct. It's for consumer storage of goods in a small space of under 500 square feet.
Okay, so does that, with the terminology warehouse, does that mean that someone cannot come in and do other types of warehousing at this site?
No, it will not allow any kind of commercial warehousing. That's the warehousing use, and that's an industrial use. It's not going to authorize any of that, anything on a commercial scale or business to business. It's a consumer-oriented mini storage.
Okay, and I just wanted to verify that the size is 119 plus instead of 19. I believe you, I heard you say that it was 19 plus square feet, and it's 119, correct?
Yeah, the conditions limit it to 120, just for a little rounding.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, Commissioners, on this item?
I have a question.
Yes, sir. Please, Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Pepe, the service area that this mini warehouse would service, who would come to this? Are there enough residences? And if those residences are in close proximity, would it affect their perspective of their living environment by having this mini warehouse?
Yeah, there are not a high amount of homes in direct proximity or adjacency. It's either isolated by large undeveloped tracts or agricultural properties or commercial properties. So it is set back away from those to a good degree. And in terms of is there enough customers to support it? I would presume that they've done market research to determine if they have customers to support it, and it likely will serve homes in that it can aid in housing that people can store goods there. So it presumably will serve consumers within a larger area or a community scale area.
Yeah, are there any other mini warehouses in the proximity?
I would not say that there's in my research, I did not find anything within a mile or more.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Pepe. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Please, Commissioner Blair.
Commissioner Anderson, thank you. Just for your edification, there was a community meeting. The community is in support. There is no mini warehouses in the close proximity, and that's the only reason why the community is in support of it.
Thank you, Commissioner.
You're welcome.
Any other questions on this item? Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Pepe. Commissioners, we'll keep going. We'll come back to number 10 in a bit. Number 11 is getting held under advisement to June 15th, 12 June 1st. So we'll go to case number 13.
Sorry, is that June 15th on the 11th?
Number 11 to June 15th.
And 12
to June 1st. Case 13, Mr. Malton. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning, Mr. Mulkey.
I have my name on the white. Okay, first case I have for you today is C212-347. This has been briefed before. I just wanted to brief a few updates since the last meeting. As a refresher, this is an application for a TH3A townhouse district with deed restrictions volunteered by the applicant on properties owned in R5A single family district. It's located, this is a double frontage lot. It's located on the southwest line of South Fitzhugh Avenue and the northeast line of Caldwell Avenue, north of South Haskell Avenue. The lot is 8,760 square feet. Location map showing the property in city limits. This is in District 2. Aerial map with that lot outlined in blue. You can see it has frontage onto both Fitzhugh and Caldwell. Zoning map with surrounding land uses. So the surrounding residential uses are all within an R5A district. A mixture of single family and undeveloped lots. And then to the southeast along South Haskell Avenue, zoned a CS district, is vehicle or engine repair or maintenance. So the background, this is currently zoned R5A. It's undeveloped, double frontage. The applicant proposes to develop the property with residential uses. To accomplish this, they are requesting a TH3A district, which would allow both single family and duplex, though not multifamily. They have also volunteered deed restrictions that would limit the property to a maximum of 2 detached dwelling units, and then also require 1 detached dwelling unit to face South Fitzhugh and 1 detached dwelling unit to face Caldwell. This was volunteered in an effort to, have the development be similar in appearance to the adjacent lots along both lot faces. Updates since the last meeting. So we've done a lot more digging into permitting requirements on this case. The request area consists of 1 platted lot. However, a duplex use only permits one main building per building site. So the 2 detached dwelling units, as proposed by the applicant's volunteered deed restrictions, would not be considered a duplex under code. So they would not be able to have 2 dwelling units on the TH3A lot if they were detached. Speaking with development services staff, a duplex building must share at least one common fire rated wall, and the entire main building must be under 1 roof. The common wall, however, can be the back wall of garages for both units. So the units themselves could face Fitzhugh and Caldwell, and then to the rear of both units could be the garages for each individual unit. And then the back wall of both of those garages could be the shared common wall to meet that definition of a duplex structure. Again, this would still give the appearance of 1 unit facing Fitzhugh and 1 unit facing Caldwell. These buildings would be subject to the 20-foot front yard requirement of the adjacent R5A lot due to block-based continuity. So there would be consistency there. However, the applicant may need to volunteer a modification to their proposed deed restrictions to avoid permitting issues. And this is what that would look like. So these are the deed restrictions that were published in the docket last Friday. And they would need to remove the word detached from any of that language. So that it would just be capped at a maximum of 2 dwelling units and requiring 1 each to face Fitzhugh and Caldwell. This, just as a refresher, is the development standards of the proposed R5A and the proposed, the existing R5A and the proposed TH3A. And you can see there that the front yard would be triggered on both frontages if this is a double frontage lot. And then there's that second footnote talking about block-based continuity. So with that, our recommendation is still approval, subject to deed restrictions volunteered by the applicant, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you very much. Questions, Commissioner Hampton?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Mulkey, thank you for the kind of walking through this. Could you speak a little bit? I think I understand when this initially came through to staff, it was submitted as a duplex. Is that correct? Staff worked with the applicant and it went through a couple iterations, and we landed on TH3 as the applicant and staff's recommended.
That's correct. Yeah, so we've had some duplex requests recently where staff was recommending the denial because of block-based continuity. A duplex district would have a 25-foot front yard setback, whereas R5A would only have a 20-foot front setback. So if a duplex lot were established along R5A block face, you're imposing an additional 5-foot front yard on those R5A lots that may have existing structures that are now non-conforming. So we want to avoid that if we can.
And so could you speak to how the TH3, as much as it addresses a front yard setback, how are side yards, how are rear yards handled? What is the height difference between the adjacent R5 zoning?
Right, so there would not be a rear yard. There would essentially be 2 front yards, one on Fitzhugh, one on Caldwell, because this is a double frontage lot. And then side yards, as we can see here on the development standards in a TH3A district, would be 5 feet for a duplex structure. Which is the same side yard as the existing R5A, it's 5 feet. And then in terms of height difference, there would be an additional 6 feet granted in height, and residential proximity slope would not be triggered here because it does not apply to TH3A lots.
And so I think I heard you say that there would be 2 front yards, but there's nothing that would actually require them to put fronts on top of them.
Well, so in that first footnote there, if a lot runs from one street to another and has double frontage, a required front yard must be provided on both streets. So that's the zoning requirement that would be triggered. And then in speaking with permitting staff, if they had a driveway on both Fitzhugh and Caldwell leading to those respective units, development services would treat both of those yards as front yards as well.
So while the adjacent lots on each side of the R75 that will have a 5-foot rear setback, presumably may or may not have a garage, their garage entry or they would have to provide 20 feet to pull off for any particular access. But the building itself would not be required to be more, well, I guess if it's truly TH, would it require 5 or would it require 0?
For the front yard?
Pretty much, yes.
Okay. Yeah, so our interpretation is that a front yard would be applied along Caldwell, and that was reinforced by my conversations with development services. If they had driveway access from Caldwell, then that would be treated as a front yard by development services as well.
May ask a few more questions because I'm not quite sure I follow. I understand how the driveway would require that, but the frontage and what I'm hearing you say is that it's just like we talked about on the front yards, on this case on Fitzhugh or in the other duplex districts, block face continuity, but there is no similar front yard. So if it's continuity to block face Caldwell, Caldwell is a rear yard for the balance of the adjacencies. And so that would seem to be the block face continuity would be the 5 feet. They'd have the additional restriction if they were going to have a driveway that the car would have to pull off. You would go allow 20 feet to get the car out of the right of way. But that, to me, having a car and a drive access versus a building line are two separate things.
Yeah, so the information that I received from development services is that Caldwell would also be treated as a front yard.
Okay. And then as you looked at this, are there any other, and I think this aerial shows it perfectly. So there's one house that's on the corner on Wade Street that is split, but is there anywhere else in this community that has this kind of proposed approach in terms of, you know, and it's an R5 district? So single houses, you know, single structures on one lot. They're typically all oriented, and I'm just going to say to the right-hand side. So Caldwell houses face onto Caldwell, Fitzhugh houses face onto Fitzhugh, and that's the pattern that's established pretty much because of the rotating street grid and just how the area is developed. Is that correct?
Possibly. I mean, this house down here at Ware and Caldwell does have a driveway on the Caldwell, and it is facing towards Caldwell. And you were saying that's more of a...
The split that you're seeing is not necessarily the city's official split, that's just the tax split.
Yes, it is developed with two.
Right, but I'm
it is what I couldn't hear. It is developed just as this area. It's
two.
It is two structures.
Okay, so that's not a large back garage. Okay, so you've got one facing Fitzhugh and one facing Caldwell, which
I'm trying to understand essentially how, and again, I appreciate Mr. Mulkey, you've probably spent a lot of time.
Oh, yeah.
With development. But is this mid-block request something that staff, I think we've seen a few of them, and I guess I'm trying to understand how this fits into the larger development. Because it seems inconsistent to me with the development pattern, particularly in a mid-block, surrounded by R75, and I'm just trying to understand staff's recommendation for approval.
Yeah, and I will lean on Ms. Albert a little bit here because she does have the development services, but my understanding is, yes, there are structures built today that do face towards Fitzhugh. However, there's no reason, at least as far as the city is concerned, that they could not also face towards Caldwell.
Correct.
These other frontage lots. Yeah. So although, you know, what's existing on the ground today, buildings are oriented a certain way, any of these lots are already entitled to reorient in the other direction too. As long as they still have, you know, these are R5A lots, so as long as they still have one dwelling unit on the lot, they still need compliance with the zoning requirements.
And so then the other standard that's in the difference between R5 and H3 is the lot coverage. And so, and I think if I heard part of the review of this in lieu of doing two separate structures, which was the applicant's original request and where they were going, they need to attach the two together. So presumably that would mean that they would have a greater lot coverage up to 60%, which is allowed in the TH3 district.
Yeah, I mean, they could potentially, you know, this is a general zoning change, so we don't have a definite site plan at this stage in the pipeline, but they could go up to 60% lot coverage. However, they do have that 20-foot front yard applied on both frontages, so I mean that will kind of come to play as well.
Okay. And then just my final question, I guess, as you look at the scale of the development in this area, does it appear that they're even meeting the 45% that's allowed in the surrounding R5 areas?
I'm just going to jump back and forth between the area on the chart. Probably not, but again, they're entitled to.
Understand. Okay. And then, are you aware if there was a community meeting held on this request?
I am. I believe you were present. I was hoping to say something, but I believe you were.
Did you receive any? I guess did we receive any reply forms back, or did you receive any communication back from the community?
I have not.
Speak to that here. Thank you, Mr. Wong. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Trevor.
So if you could blow up again and zoom in. Because I had the same questions that Commissioner Hampton did. So are there currently any houses facing, I'm just going to say south on Caldwell? Is that front house at the corner of where? Is it open to Caldwell?
This lot right here where my cursor is.
I can't see your cursor.
This one.
Yeah.
This one faces, these face.
Yes, that one does face Caldwell.
Okay. And just, if you could educate me for a minute, I understand duplex, I understand single family. So we're going with a TH3 because of the setback issue. Does that not give any additional flexibility on having two detached structures under that zoning category?
It doesn't. So one of the reasons, aside from the setback stuff, with the TH3 recommendation is that the townhouse districts allow both single family and duplex. However, the definition of a duplex use requires that both of the units be share at least one common fire rated wall and be under 1 roof. So they cannot be attached.
So in order to get two residences on one plat, that's where you're having to go back to the duplex. Correct. So that's where we hit duplex. We opened that back in duplex.
But we can still, or the applicant can still volunteer deed restrictions that require, rather than, both of those units being side by side and facing Fitzhugh or facing Caldwell, they can be back to back and share a common wall in the rear and face both Fitzhugh and Caldwell.
But in order to do what they did at the top, along where you have to come back and plat it as two separate plats in order to have two separate residences that were detached.
Correct. And under the current R5A zoning, you need at least 10,000 square feet to replat into two lots, and this is about 8,700 square feet, so they wouldn't meet that minimum lot size. They need at least 5,000 per lot.
So how do the people do it against where?
That's a good question.
Mr. Chair, if I can just jump in. The plat isn't the issue at this point in time. We're just on the switch 15.
Sorry,
The plat is not a supported body, so we're sort of getting off topic.
I'm just wondering what the assumptions are.
Yeah.
Because it does sound like there was a lot of discussion back and forth to try to meet the needs. So I'm just trying to educate myself about what were those options.
Yeah, so as Daniel said, we can't talk about platting. However, I can speak to the minimum lot size required by either existing or proposed zoning district. And Ms. Allgaier is informing me that these two parcels at Ware and Caldwell that are split,
These yellow lines are not necessarily platted lines, so that still could conceivably be one lot. What you're seeing is ownership lines per decade.
So it's meets and bounds descriptions.
Yeah.
Could be one lot.
But they're not allowed to have two separate detached.
If it was built at some point, I don't think, then
it could predate non-conforming use. Okay. I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Stanley.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. I guess okay, my first question is, under the duplex, and I understand the setback deal, that, okay, we did try to do the duplex, and there was too much of a setback. Are you saying there was no way to construct two livable duplexes on this as a duplex, or that just wasn't what the
Not under the duplex district, because that would create these block-based continuity issues. But the duplex, so zoning district, land use, right, two separate things. The duplex district is not a possibility. The duplex land use is still a possibility because it's allowed under a townhouse district. So that's why the request is for townhouse.
No, this I.
It's very wonky.
No, I get it, but I guess where I'm going is, are we taking our zoning districts and convoluting them to a point to meet something? And although I love creativity, I'm just kind of wondering, because I would ask another question. Do we still have TH 1, 2, and 3? Why is this one 3?
Because there is a dwelling unit density restriction that we talked about on Commissioner Blair's case a lot. That I can go back to the.
Yeah, because TH1, TH3 allows 12 dwelling units.
Right.
But they have the same height, the same setbacks, and TH1 is 6 dwelling units. So my question
That's
is,
the only reason we have 3 different TH districts. The only difference between each of them is TH1 is, I think, 6 dwelling units per acre.
Yes.
TH2 is 9. TH3 is 12. And this is an 8760 square foot lot. So this is sort of kind of rough math, but with 12 dwelling units per acre, you would need an average square footage per dwelling unit of about 3,600. And they don't have enough square footage to do that at 9 dwelling units an acre or 6. They would have to go all the way up to.
well, I know, but it's kind of like, I don't particularly like giving that zoning to a parcel, let's say, that all of a sudden you could have 12 micro units. Okay?
Yeah, that,
And I mean, this kind
All
of.
right, so let's just stay with questions. These questions out.
Well, there's not.
Advancing the position.
Hey, it's not, wouldn't that allow 12 micro
no,
units?
because you still need at least 3,600 square feet per dwelling unit, which would only get maybe two and a half
Okay.
total. And then the other thing, aside from the base zoning district, that we sort of built in for the applicant has with their volunteer deed restrictions is that they're limiting themselves to a maximum of 2 dwelling units for the entire property. So there wouldn't be any.
Yeah. So you feel like, as a question, you feel like
Professional opinion.
this aligns up of being TH3, and which then allows a duplex on this very narrow lot. Is that correct?
Correct, because the townhouse district still allows the duplex use, and I gotta be a little bit smart ass here, but I do wanna say, I don't think our zoning code could get any more convoluted, so I don't think we're talking.
Well, thank you, Brian.
Thank you. I know, thank you. You just answered my question.
So is it fair to say, Ryan, that code for infill development is problematic? And then, so therefore, when an applicant comes in, we have to try to find the best, closest pocket for them, and the deed restrictions kind of something like this, where the goal here is to have a dwelling face both sides, and if you drive by or walk by, to have it look like what's there now.
That is correct,
Right? So is it possible to hard code that front yard setback or deed restrictions, since it appears that you seem to have a question and answer, and Commissioner Hampton seems to maybe not have that opinion, that's be hard coded?
Yes, that 20 front yard could be hard coded in, however, it would still apply due to block-based continuity, so I don't know how legal feels about that, but if
Okay, okay. Commissioner Wheeler will come back.
So is the in-lot you all use that as a reference for that in-lot that has 2 structures on it?
not necessarily, no.
The second structure, an accessory dwelling instead of a second, home?
It, like we were saying earlier, it could be that it is not conforming today, so if whoever redeveloped, they would lose the arrangement of that building on that parcel.
It's an accessory use, that particular, it's an accessory dwelling, they build. Did he not give you all because they showed me renderings? They didn't show you, they didn't submit the renderings?
I've seen a version of site plan. I've seen renderings as well. I don't really think what's on in elevations, but I've seen a version of the site plan as well that did show two actual units, but not one so far that shows attached units.
Did they show the one that me? I saw these renderings. They're the same body that's doing duplexes in South Dallas. Or attempting to do duplexes.
Exactly the same.
Commissioner Rubin.
Is there a more comprehensive look at infill housing development potentially coming up and looking at our code?
That's a little beyond my ken.
Yeah, we do have, as I said, we're getting ready to launch a full code reform. I think we're getting ready to go to the Economic Development Committee with the proposal and then to full council for approval. So that was on our work plan. We have been budgeted for. We're gonna get a consultant. We beefed up the code amendments team, looking into that.
And are these challenges that we see for duplexes and TH and all that, is that one of the things that's going to be under the purview of that?
Yeah, and we plan to, and I don't want to overcommit because we need to talk to the consultant and all of that, and obviously this is under Andrea's umbrella. We will bring the consultant, talk to you, and then we'll make a priority plan and all of that.
And just to throw another comment in the mix there, it's not just our zoning code that creates these difficulties with missing middle. It's our IBC, International Building Code, International Fire Code. A lot of these issues that we've discussed today aren't even really in Chapter 51A. So there's a lot of code reform that would go into making that more of a possibility.
Understood. One other follow-up question. I think Sheriff did hit on deed restrictions and using these deed restrictions to address some of the potential uncertainties that may come up at BI and that sort of thing. There's also the disparity in lot coverage from R5 to TH3. Is that something that could also be addressed through voluntary deed restrictions?
It could. You can always go more restrictive than deed restrictions.
Great. Thanks.
You, Commissioner Blair.
I have, my question is, if you, because you did say that to make this work, that they could use the garage as a adjoining unit. Where would they come in with how would that, where would they build out a driveway to get to that location, and would it come in out of Fitzhugh or Caldwell, or do they have two driveways that would come from both locations? And I know that's more than one question.
Right, yeah, but my understanding in conversations with development services is that a driveway could come off of Fitzhugh and off of Caldwell. So each unit would have its own driveway leading from its respective front yard.
And the garage itself would be the unit, would it be the area of this particular development unit that would be adjoining?
Okay, yeah, that would be where in the building the units would share a common fire rated wall.
Okay.
Just one, but it doesn't have to be the garage.
It doesn't have to be. So in order to meet a duplex use, it has to share at least one common fire rated wall, and the entire structure has to be under one roof.
Okay.
Those are the two.
And the entire structure.
I think when you,
Under one roof.
Yeah.
when you said one garage, it brings to mind a different kind of driveway.
Sure.
Right? It doesn't have to be the garage. Just any back wall.
Correct. Yeah.
So second round, Commissioner Stanley, please.
Yeah, mine is sort of like Commissioner Blair's. I was trying to think. So you could front one duplex, one side could front Caldwell, one could front Fitzhugh, and you could have on the side of the lot going down, and then you turned into two attached garages or carports, whatever, that would meet the attached requirement. Okay.
But
Yeah.
it's just one possible.
That's just a possibility, but that could happen where it's facing each way. Gotcha, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Memphis. Correct.
I just wanted to ask, and I realize this is a little bit beyond, but a follow-up to Commissioner Rubin's questions on, as we're looking at this. Mr. Drake.
as we're evaluating potential infill options, is it correct that design standards, compatibility, relationship of form is part of what is being considered as we try to think about, I think gentle density has been the terminology that has been used. It allows for this compatibility issue that we're trying to thread through with our current code that maybe isn't quite there.
I absolutely, totally, fully agree. I think we see all those issues with new denser housing because we don't have good design standards and we focus on land density instead of focusing on compatibility and context sensitivity. So I do fully agree. I think that's a big thing with changing the code, and that's why I'm very careful with the terms, because sometimes it's not just about land use, sometimes it's just about compatibility of the design. I was just thinking right now, we should have design standards for the garage place, and I mean, I'm not gonna, but that is the main, like in order for us to grow and expand the housing type of options in the city, especially when it comes to like single family, good design standards.
And that will allow for community input and for residents in the area to have a voice in what that development type may look like, because it may vary based on communities. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions on this item, commissioners? Okay, we'll keep moving. So now let's go back to number 10. Sorry for the false alarm before, commissioners, but the rest of the fact that Commissioner Housewright and Commissioner Hampton have a conflict and are stepping out. And also, just for the record, Commissioner Peter joined us at 9:45 a.m. Ms. Munoz, back to you.
What number?
Number 10.
Yeah, that's just.
Everyone see my screen? Thanks, Mike. Would you please let me know if we're ready to begin?
We're ready. Thank you.
Thank you very much. D212299. This is an application for Form Subdistrict FWMU5 Walkable Urban Mixed Use, located currently in PD 595 and split zone with an R5A and Neighborhood Commercial Enhanced subdistricts. It's just under 10 acres and has an existing church, which is seeking to expand services that are currently provided in an old school building. There are updates to this request since the last time we've discussed it, and they're based off of the permitted land uses and deed restrictions, which were volunteered on Tuesday and forwarded to the commission for review. I did send out a revised land use compatibility chart that showed those items that were being deed restricted out, which cut about half of the permitted land uses per the list in PD 595. And we'll discuss that further in a second. But the site is between LC Fahagan Street and CF Hahn in South Dallas. And here's an aerial map showing the developed property. It's that old school building, and then it used to have an athletic field here wrapping around the south corner of the site. And we have the surrounding zoning, which, as you can see here to the northwest, is an R5 district. And that's the same as well to the southwest. And then an MF1 area as well to the southwest. R5 to the south, direct here in this corner that's undeveloped. To the east, it's R5. and an RSI tract that has an old SUP that doesn't seem to be currently in use. And then across Second, there is additional R5 uses beyond the NCE that faces all along Second, making it more of a commercial district to provide for neighborhood serving retail uses. Currently, here are the surrounding land uses. We do have retail, restaurant, and office uses all down Second in that NCE district, and then single family uses in the R5 sections, a multifamily use that's located in the south in that MF1, and the old SUP there that seems to be undeveloped or unused at this time, with the additional property to the south also being undeveloped in an R5A. And here we are looking at the property from 2nd Street. You see that the front that's currently facing 2nd Street is the parking for the subject site. And then you see the school site, and this is the view from Garden, and this is at the rear from Bradshaw. And the surrounding land uses here, retail uses that are in the NCE section. This is across 2nd. We have several restaurant uses that are located. And then this is adjacent to the site, that old SUP that's not in use at this time. And this is to the east of the site, separating that SUP area. It's Vanessa, yeah, or Venice, excuse me, Venice Street. Now this is south of the site, the multifamily use, and then you see the single family that starts wrapping it to the southwest, and then all along the west side as well. So the area of request was previously developed with the Pearl C. Anderson Learning Center, which was built in 1963, but now currently serves as a church use for Watermark Church. They have 3/4 of an acre that front along 2nd that are zoned that NCE district or sub-district, as I mentioned. And then additionally, the remainder of the campus is all, so just the parking lot is the NCE, the structure itself and all the remaining open space is all within the R5A sub-district currently, which would allow primarily residential uses. The applicant is proposing to expand certain services that are offered by the church, which wouldn't be permitted in the R5A sub-district. And so they'd like to maintain them within that existing structure. And so they're expanding the allowable uses. Now, the reason that a form sub-district is recommended is because it aligns with the neighborhood plan for the area. And that shows this area as being a walkable corridor along 2nd Avenue that has an enhanced pedestrian activity or features to promote walkability in this area. And of course, neighborhood serving commercial uses are desired here, along with urban design elements and those pedestrian amenities, which help support that. So form-based district, of course, offers some of those features which traditional zoning does not. And so it was desirable that they have a form-based zoning in order to support that without having to create a sub-district within the PD instead that would adopt design standards. The form sub-district allowed it to just stick to the basic code and not create a sub-district within PD 595, instead to utilize the form district that's already available to them that would require those design standards and meet the requirements of the area plan for any future development, while giving them the ability to operate and expand those uses available to the community as they were seeking to do with this application. So in the future, if they ever build, they would have to comply with the standards for the form sub-district. For now, they could comply as a non-conforming structure and just have the land uses that they desire to have within the existing structure. And then additionally, there's information about the development standards compared between the districts. Overall, what you see is there's changes in the design standards that are being added for the most part. There's a lot of things that are similar in nature, but it does have the setbacks based off of the development type. It also has it based off of the, I guess, not just the development type, but the uses that are there. And then finally, the land use comparison is what's a little bit more complicated. And I did update that in this case report. So if you had read the previous version of the case report, this discusses how not only is this a form subdistrict, but in addition to Article 13, PD 595 also has its own list of uses in this section in the PD article. And so basically, if somebody were to apply for a certificate of occupancy for a land use, building inspection would have to take into consideration both the list from PD 595 and then classify the development type and the land use as permitted in Article 13 for a walkable mixed use 5 district. So there's layers of zoning here, even with just using our base code, because it does have the added element of being within 595. And then finally, they're also offering these deed restrictions, which were circulated, and they further restrict from about 64 permitted uses according to the list of permitted uses in the F subdistrict of 595. It's been whittled down to 35. And most notably, it prohibits all residential uses. And so while this is a walkable mixed use district, it technically wouldn't be mixed use because it would not allow any residential uses any longer. It would now instead shift the entire dynamic of the site from being classified currently as a residential use, which contained an institutional use, which was maintaining an institutional use, which is generally considered to be compatible with residential uses. We are happy to see the shift to something that's more dynamic for, you know, the future of this neighborhood and for what they provide to the site. But overall, the loss of that residential component does limit the overall impact of not letting it be mixed use in nature overall. But it is still a wonderful project. It still does have a lot of good in what they are proposing for the design standards that are accompanied with form subdistrict, and the fact that in the future, any development will have to comply with those standards is still good. The staff recommendation is approval subject to deed restrictions volunteered by the applicant.
Thank you very much. Questions, commissioners? Commissioner Treadway.
Thank you, Ms. Munoz. So one question, is a motor vehicle fueling station still a permitted use? When I read through the materials, I thought that it had not been excluded, but sometimes I get confused.
Ms. Munoz, did you catch that? You're muted.
Yes, I did, and I'm just reading through the revised land use compatibility chart that I sent out to everybody, where I struck all the uses that were being deed restricted out. I'm scrolling in the retail and personal service section. It shows, let's see, the general merchandise or food store is still permitted, but motor vehicle fueling station is not. Yes, it has been deed restricted out.
Okay, great. And then one question I had, so when I read through the materials and it talked about this being sort of part of the overall plan, it talked about Second Avenue not being a primary sort of street when you were looking at kind of this specific request. But then I thought something else said that Second Avenue was intended to be kind of like a main street. So I guess can you just talk a little bit more about kind of in the overall plan that this project sits in? you know, and with it not being any residential use now being all zoned out by these deed restrictions, is it just the plan to be sort of a neighborhood a neighborhood commercial area?
So the area plan for this property does show the section that is currently zoned an NCE subdistrict as being Main Street for the future. So that's where especially we'd like to introduce those design standards, walkability, pedestrian features, and then of course that mixed use element. For the remainder of the subdistrict, it is not necessarily the case. All the section, which is the majority of the site that is zoned in R5A subdistrict, is not categorized as that Main Street district in the area plan. But since the site is being used in its entirety, it should match throughout or provide the ability to provide both, which is the whole idea behind the mixed use component. And so that is why staff is concerned about the removal of the residential uses. But overall, I understand your question. And the other part of it was whether or not Second Avenue is considered a primary street. So the primary street is something that's designated by Article 13, and it's separate from the area plan's Main Street designation, if that helps.
Okay, thank you.
You, Commissioner Wheeler, do you have your hand up?
Ms. Meneses, were your meetings concerned, leading to the deed restriction?
I'm so sorry, Commissioner Wheeler, I could not hear you. What was that?
Were you, are you aware of any community engagement before we get into the deed restriction?
Am I aware of community engagement occurring before the deed restriction was offered? Is that the question?
Yes.
Yeah.
With the process.
To my knowledge, there's been community engagement. Yes, correct.
You know how many?
You may have to repeat the question.
Do you know about how many?
How many meetings?
Yes.
Not exactly, no, but the representative did tell me that there had been several meetings. I don't know how many.
And do you believe that did the representatives let you know that the deed restrictions were came about with both engagement from the community and the applicant?
Yes, to my understanding, there was a community meeting on Monday, which led to the finalization of the deed restrictions offered to staff on Tuesday to be presented to CPC.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Rubin.
I have some questions on the deed restrictions, Ms. Munoz. I think I received them yesterday. When did these come along in the process for you?
They were submitted to staff on Tuesday. Yeah.
And I understand that staff, isn't allowed to request deed restrictions from an applicant, right? They're volunteered.
That's correct.
Does staff take a position on deed restrictions when they come in, whether to support them or deny them like they would on, other parts of a zoning case, or is that something that really staff just lets the applicant volunteer without further?
We wouldn't really recommend, of course, that they make any new provisions in them, but I do believe that we can speak to our professional opinion on the items being restricted.
And the one that I, wanted to explore a little bit was the restriction of all residential. First off, through these deed restrictions, could they be tailored in a variety of ways to allow some residential, like single family or duplex, while still zoning out or restricting out multifamily?
Absolutely. They currently restricted all 8 of the residential uses within the category for this zoning.
And with what residential is currently allowed on the site in the residentially zoned portion?
It's R5A, so probably about 4 of those uses, which include handicap, group residential, and maybe one other that I'd have to check real quick, but single family would be the primary.
And is staff supportive of going from the R75A, which allows some residential, to having these deed restrictions restricting out all residential?
Staff would prefer to see all residential uses remain.
And I just saw these deed restrictions come through yesterday. I didn't have a chance to read the applicable area plans. What do those area plans say about allowing residential on the subject site?
I'm not as well versed in the area plan as our neighborhood planning section, but I can say that in general, this is a mixed use district, which we are proposing, right, to meet the requirements of that area plan, which any good mixed use project will always include a residential component that is being served by those commercial uses at the site. That way it creates a complementary environment where they are, more likely to walk. That's why it's supportive of the pedestrian features and such, so that you have less traffic, you have more people on the street using the facilities that are in the vicinity. So it should include a residential component. Even our base code, chapter 51A, for all mixed use projects, there is bonuses in things like density or in FAR for the remainder of the uses if you do provide that residential component. So it's always seen as being like the gold star of mixed use projects.
And I can speak a little bit to one of the 2 area plans that applies here. It's the Hasher Station area plan, which is a TOD focused plan. It's fairly recent adopted plan, and there is a land use concept plan within that area plan that kind of outlines primary land use types for different sections of the study area. And for this property, it identifies the area as appropriate for the Main Street land use type, which I'm just reading verbatim from the report. Concentrates pedestrian activity along the walkable corridor with places for living, working, and shopping. So very much speaking to mixed use with residential. It goes on to say these areas should feature 1 to 4-story high buildings placed at the sidewalk edge and high quality pedestrian environments with wide sidewalks, trees, sidewalk cafes, and outdoor dining.
Okay, and I know that there are several moving pieces in this case, going from PD 595's version of R5 to PD's 595's version of walkable mixed use, as well as these deed restrictions. In y'all's professional opinion, is there any incompatibility between residential uses on this site in light of all the other changes that have been made?
I think that's the case plan.
Okay.
I think that it would be better for the site. It would increase compatibility if their residential uses were still permitted.
And what's the lot coverage on this site look like today? Actual lot coverage as opposed to, what's allowed to, what amount of coverage max is allowed?
The existing on the ground?
Yeah. Do you have any?
I don't know, but I could figure it out if you just give me some time.
I mean, is there room if someone wanted to, put in a row of, R5A residential on this site? Is there room for that right now?
For R5A, I would say yes, but it would have to go through, of course, platting. And the thing is, for any other uses is where it becomes tricky, because the R5A subdistrict would refer back to the lot coverage requirements for non-residential uses or other uses that are permitted, which is more restrictive in nature.
Okay. I think that's all I have. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Wheeler.
Ms. Jimenez, do you have any information on the reasoning that there is a restriction for restricting our residential uses possibly being, because there was nothing in code that could make the residential uses by HUP or in the community involvement, the community wanting to be involved in any type of housing units? And so the only way, was it because the only way to do that is to do a deed restriction?
I'm sorry, were you asking if I was aware that that's the reason why?
Yes.
Okay. No, I was not aware of that.
Thank you, Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I got a few questions related to, I guess, the presentation. So currently, you stated that they're operating as a church. My understanding is that the church owns the property, but I've not seen any evidence of it operating as a church. Have you been able to confirm that they're operating as a church?
I did tour the facility along with Commissioner Wheeler. They showed us the area where they congregate, where they hold classes and such. So the facility is open and it is up and running. As far as when they have services, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I've toured the facility also, and have been kind of concerned about what direction they wanted to go with that facility. And I'm also concerned about the community meetings that they've had. I've been to one, and it wasn't necessarily a community meeting. I was invited.
Chair.
However, yes.
Commissioner Henderson, let's stick to just questions for now, and we can share our concerns and issues at the Horseshoe. Now, just please, just questions.
Is there an impact study related to this change that would show how it impacts the surrounding community?
As in a traffic impact study?
No, as a community impact study, development impact study that shows what they're proposing and how it will impact the surrounding uses and community.
Nothing like that is required at this time.
Have there been any reviews of alternative place types that would be relative to a mixed use that included some sort of residential, like for instance, lofts or an adaptive reuse of the existing building as it is done with most other school redevelopments?
I appreciate the question. And I think that if there was a plan to actually develop the site at this time or redevelop the site in a way that was beyond the church just providing services to the community, that there may have been conversations about that. But at this time, when I attended the only engagement session, which was on the site with some community members and the commissioner, it was, there has been some discussion of possibly in the future converting some portion of the old school into units, but that's not our plan. And so we're not discussing that. And now they've gone as far as to deed restrict residential uses out completely. So has there been a discussion about place typing or mixed uses on the property to allow for future development of residential uses? No, not with staff, not at this time.
Are you aware of any sign-in sheets or anything for those community meetings?
Absolutely not. No.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Munoz, and thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Vincent Around.
Sure. Just a couple follow-up questions that I forgot to ask, Ms. Munoz. Are you aware of any other deed restrictions that you've dealt with in your time completely restricting out residential uses from a previously residentially zoned site?
Not that I can think of specifically. I mean, usually they're deed restricting out one that's bothersome for some reason.
So for a more intense residential use, like multifamily or something like that, is that right?
Yes, or putting a cap on dwelling unit density is what we typically see.
And then I think Commissioner Wheeler also asked about you know, whether an SUP could be required for residential. I think I've seen a few, maybe a handful of SUPs for multifamily, very small handful. Are you aware of any SUP requirements for duplex or single family that we've got here in the city?
You know, I have 7 years of case history in my mind and a whole lot of messy code, as we've talked about many times, but not that I can specifically think of, no. Not at this moment.
And PD 595 would not allow us to go to an SUP requirement for residential. Is that right? The kind of way that our options within PD 595 for amendments are sort of limited.
That's right, not without creating a sub-district.
Okay. Great, thanks.
Ms. Munoz, did you have any discussions about why they deleted all of the residential options when you received the deed restrictions on Tuesday?
The representative just stated that it was due to negotiations with the community. That was it. That the applicant had agreed in a neighborhood advisory meeting that they would provide these restrictions.
I'm very sure we'll have the answer. That's a horseshoe.
Okay, that's all I need.
Any last questions, commissioners? Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Munoz. Commissioners, that's, it is exactly 11 o'clock. Let's take a 10-minute break.
You always work harder and that's smarter. Yeah. How can I make this as complicated?
You live in a community that has recipes for single family, right?
What's that?
I should have
Okay, we are recording, commissioners. 11:13, we'll back on the record. We'll keep moving. Case number 12 will be held during revisal to June 1st. So we will move on to case number 14. Thank you.
Okay, next case I have here is 223-117. This has also been briefed before. I'll just give a brief sort of refresher on that. The request is for MF2A multifamily district with deed restrictions volunteered by the applicant on properties owned an NOA neighborhood office district and a PA parking district. It's located on the south line of Glenfield Avenue west of Southampton Road. It's about 1.8 acres. Location map showing the property within city limits. Aerial map with the request area outlined in blue. Zoning map with surrounding districts and land uses. To the east are commercial uses such as medical clinic, general merchandise, personal service. Further east is a single family area. And then to the north and west, zoned R75A is existing single family. And then to the south within PD 128 are office uses, and then a vacant structure that was previously used as a hospital. So as I said, it's NOA and PA. It is currently undeveloped. The applicant proposes to redevelop the property with residential uses. To accomplish this, they're requesting an MF2A district. I have. I'm just going to give it a brief.
Please, thank you.
The applicant has also applied to volunteer deed restrictions that would further restrict development of the property. These are intended to restrict density of sites, provide enhanced buffering adjacent to surrounding single family uses, and provide some enhanced design standards. With that, staff's recommendation is still approval subject to deed restrictions volunteered by the applicant.
Thank you very much. Questions? Any questions on this item? Okay, questions, we'll keep moving to case number 15. Okay. One.
I totally should.
Just a minute, commissioners. I know you
No, thank you. What's up, dog? I should do that, but I want to keep. I really value my jobs. Yes. I did not do that. Thank you, stuff. Are we sure? And she said. Okay. Okay, good morning, commissioners.
I saw Bird over there, and Bird is the happiest man at City Hall right there. Because what happened yesterday in the Champions League, so. He's like floating, I just saw him was floating.
This is a sports ball language I'm not familiar with.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, this is Z212196. It is an application for an amendment to and the renewal of specific use permit number 1530 for an industrial outside use limited to a concrete plant on property zone subdistrict 1, tract 2, within Planned Development District number 498, the Harry Hines Corridor Special Purpose District, approximately 2.7 acres, located at the southwest corner of Joe Field Road and Denton Drive in District 6. The aerial map should be coming up. There we go. Aerial map and zoning and land use map. The request site to the south, west, and east, predominantly surrounded by office warehouse uses. Elevated DART rail line is across Denton Drive to the east. And then to the north of the site across Joe Field Road, there is a home improvement center with outside storage and a bit of retail to the northwest. We're looking at the site, looking east along Joe Field Road. The egress point for trucks, the ingress point for trucks off of Joe Field. Sorry, we have a lag again. Oh, went too far. Ingress point for trucks. And in the center of the photo here, this is the concrete ramp that's existed on the site, but just was not shown on the previous SUP site plan. So that's one of the changes to the site plan. As they were updating property lines, they included that existing ramp just for accuracy. And then the third drive approach for, man, this is standard size autos. This next slide that is eventually, there we go, corner of Joe Field Road and Denton Drive. When I was out on site visit several months ago, this is the corner. The fence had been removed in order for the right-of-way improvements on Denton Drive to be completed. So the property line was moved in at this location, and they tore down the fence as part of it. My understanding from the applicant is that this has been restored in the new location shown on the site plan, included in the docket. And then we're just going to work our way around looking at the site from Denton Drive. And then, oh man. This is adjacent office showroom warehouse to the south on Denton Drive. I blame the planning manager for the lackiness of this. Okay, looking north along Denton Drive, this is the new bike track with 2 lanes, and then you see the elevated DART rail to the right in the photo. And eventually you're going to see office warehouse uses on the other side of that DART line. There we go, other side of the DART line. On the other side of the buildings in this photo, about 1,300 feet from the site, is the nearest residential area. And then this is the home improvement with outside storage across Joe Field Road. This was mentioned in the case report as one of the tracks that was approved when the PD was amended in 2003, so that the current use on the area of request site, the batch concrete plant, and this home improvement center with outside storage were both specifically allowed in that amendment in 2003. And then just a bit of the retail across Joe Field and the adjacent warehouses. I guess we would call these mini warehouses now. The existing SUP site plan The changes that you're going to see in the current site plan will be the existing concrete ramp in this location. The property line changes over in this corner of Denton Drive and Joe Field Road, and the fence relocation as a result of that. And I believe there were also a couple of, they got a little bit more specific on the arrangement of their water, whatever they call these. What do they call these? The water storage areas. The proposed SUP site plan is going to pop up. Okay, so here's that ramp we were talking about and the right-of-way changes at this corner with the relocation of the fence as well, to keep it, when it was originally installed, I think back in the day in the visibility triangle there, when they reinstall, they're making sure that it will not be there. And like I said, a little bit more detail on the water storage configuration. The only other question I asked the applicant to confirm, because at the site visit, staff did not observe the chain link or barbed wire that was indicated on the original SUP site plan. They still have it mentioned on the proposed one. We just saw the concrete wall basically, so they'll be able to confirm for us if this in fact has been installed or if we need to revise this, the materials listed here. The only change to the conditions are the time limits. The applicant has requested a 5-year time period. Staff supports that request. No eligibility for automatic renewal. And staff recommendation is approval for a 5-year time period subject to a revised site plan and conditions.
Excellent, thank you very much. Questions, questions?
Yeah, Ms. Algar, I think we saw a ballot in opposition that came in after the official deadline.
Right.
The ballot itself didn't mention any reason for the opposition, right?
No.
Are you aware of the reason for that person submitting an opposition?
No, I just received that late yesterday afternoon and haven't had any conversations with him following up.
And you aware what sort of use is on that site that submitted the ballot in opposition?
I'm not.
But again, not residential, right?
There's no residential that would have been in the notification area.
Okay. And then the closest residential, that's the multifamily, that like Royal and Zodiac, is that?
I don't know the cross streets, but it's to the east, about 1,300 feet. It's on the other side of the dart ramp, on the other side of several warehouse buildings. And that's about, I don't know the specific street names.
Okay. And other than that, are you aware of any opposition?
No, sir.
Okay, great, thanks. Thank you. Commissioner?
Thank you. Ms. Javier, thank you for the briefing. Just want to clarify 2 things. Staff's recommendation is the 5-year no automatic renewal.
Correct.
And so it will be, should the body approval as brief, is that correct? Because I think what we have in our docket just says approval subject to a revised site plan conditions.
Well, the request is for 5 years, so that's assumed to be within, so it really wouldn't need to be as brief, but if we want to call it that, we can, either way.
And then the only clarification it sounds like that may still be outstanding is on the fence material along Joe Field Road.
Correct.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Terry.
Thank you. Any other questions, commissioners? Okay, we'll go on to the next case. Thank you, Ms. Agai.
Me unsure.
Please help me what?
Number 16 to the 15th, June 15th. Takes us to number 17. Oh.
Okay, just gonna even shout.
Okay, next is Z223-111. This request is for an application for a DA duplex subdistrict on property zoned in R5A single family subdistrict within Plan Development District number 595, the South Dallas Fair Park Special Purpose District. It is located on the northwest line of Garden Lane, southwest of 2nd Avenue. It's approximately 7,500 square feet. Location map showing the property in city limits. Aerial map with the property outlined in blue. This is just across the street from the watermark case we were discussing a while ago. Zoning map with surrounding districts and land uses. So along 2nd Avenue to the northeast, that property is zoned an NCE, Neighborhood Commercial Enhanced Subdistrict within PD 595. That's a special kind of subdistrict within this PD. And then everything south of that commercial, that auto service and general merchandise is zoned at R5A subdistrict within PD 595. To the northwest, west, and southwest are single family uses. And then across Garden Lane to the southeast is a church use. So the property is currently zoned in R5A sub-district within PD 595 and it's undeveloped. The applicant proposes to develop the property with a duplex, and to accomplish this, they're requesting a duplex sub-district within PD 595. Here's some site photos. This is on Garden Lane looking northwest at the frontage of the property. And then just going in a clockwise direction around that point, you can see some of that commercial on 2nd Avenue. And then the watermark property to the southeast. And then some of the residential to the southwest of Garden. So these are the development standards of the existing R5A subdistrict and the proposed DA subdistrict. As we have discussed today already, this duplex district, because of block face continuity, would impose an additional 5-foot front yard on those existing R5A lots. Other than that, the minimum lot size per dwelling unit is 3,000 square feet. And then the overall minimum lot size is 6,000 square feet, a little different from the R5A. Increasing max height to 36 feet, increasing lot coverage from 45 to 60%, and then allowing a duplex use in addition to single family. We are recommending denial on this one due to that block face continuity issue, and I'm available for any questions.
Questions? Commissioner Hampton? No, Commissioner Hauser.
So I heard you say that the 25-foot setback in the duplex district would impose block face continuity on the R5. Why isn't it the other way around? Again, I don't understand the logic of that.
Yeah, so as it is in code, it's not the majority zoning limits, like what the majority of the lots are zoned. It is the district along the block face that has the most restrictive front yard. So because 25 feet is more restricted, 20 feet, very good. And then it applies to all the lots.
Very counterintuitive, right? Very counterintuitive. That's true.
I'm just working here.
We saw the other the case in D2 facing similar issues, as you recognize. And in D2, the proposal is to go with a TH district with deed restrictions. One, what is the feasibility of that thing there? And two, has that been explored with the applicant?
The feasibility of that proposal and this
proposal. A similar proposal, potentially taking, using another zoning district besides duplex, such as a TH district.
Sure. Yeah, no, I mean, it is a possibility. I think with that average minimum lot size in like a TH3, I think you could still get 2 units on a 7,500 square foot lot. I don't like to do math in public, but I believe that's still a possibility. But yeah, it was not necessarily discussed with the applicant on this one. We kind of just more evaluated the requested duplex sub-district, and it does have this issue. So that was kind of our logic.
So just going back, how did we get the how is the TH district explored in the D2 case, but not here? Was that outside of conversations outside?
Right now, with this applicant, I believe they wanted to stick with the duplex subdistrict. Whereas in the other case, you know, that is sort of a unique lot. It has double frontage. It's not at the boundary of an existing single family area, but it's close. Of course, this one is sort of in a similar situation. It's at the boundary of an existing R5A district. It's adjacent to that commercial. So yeah, it could be a possibility.
And again, the sole issue that staff sees a block-based continuity problem.
That's really, I mean, all we can hang our hat on here. There is, of course, you know, we're expected to evaluate for consistency with existing land uses and existing zoning districts. There is, one could say, an inconsistency here. You'd have a duplex use on a duplex district adjacent to single family uses in a single family district. But you know,
that's one can say. Staff isn't saying that a duplex can never peaceably coexist with R5.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's really more the block-based continuity thing. It's a big issue.
Great, thank you.
Can the Board of Adjustment grant a variance to the front setback?
They would have to demonstrate that there's a hardship in order to receive a variance, and by definition, a hardship can't be self-induced. So simply wanting to have a duplex where the zoning doesn't allow it.
Okay,
would have to be some sort of like demographic constraint or some weird lot arrangement that like absolutely prevents someone from being able to comply with the code requirements.
So just following on Vice Chair Rubin's question, so were any other options considered to put something a little denser on this lot that is on the outside edge?
Not in this case, but again, I mean, we wouldn't have any problem with the possibility of a more creative solution here. That's not something we'd be opposed to.
Thank you.
So I did want to ask a follow-up question. So generally, because again, I do think we've seen a few of these cases, how is staff evaluating where we have established residential communities, single-family development, and applicants come in and ask for a change to support their, planned development? How is that evaluated? And it sounds like, so the D2 case was a mid-block in an R5 district. This one, while on the perimeter, is still kind of that edge that was established and seems to be surrounded by, there's some vacant lot, but predominantly developed with single family. How, can you just speak a little bit to how that was evaluated by staff?
Yeah, I mean, my crappy bureaucratic answer, I'll just get out of the way first, is that, each zoning case is evaluated on its own merit and on precedent. Other than that, we don't really have a established policy per se, because I think with any of these cases, we could just recommend denial on all of them for the very, traditionally accepted reasoning. But if we choose to not recommend denial, we're kind of automatically coloring outside the lines anyway, because of all these code issues that come up. We have to look for creative solutions. So establishing a policy may be advisable, or maybe the answer is to wait till code amendments, or, I know that's not a very thorough answer, but.
Well, I think what I heard you say is that one of the primary considerations was the block phase continuity, but I guess I'm also just trying to understand, it's clearly part of a planned development district, a community vision has been established here. I mean, is this consistent with the community's vision that is codified in that planned development district?
Yeah, for PD 595, I'm not as familiar with the history of with some of our area plans. I am fairly familiar with the South Dallas Park area plan, which I think I mentioned in my case report on this one. And that's really more concerned with activity, or primarily concerned with activity along the commercial corridors like 2nd Avenue. So can't glean a ton from that. But as for whether or not it's consistent with the existing PD, I don't know. I think that's something that's kind of up for debate. I mean, it's still a residential use, you know. Is the intention or the vision that was established with the PD when it was adopted, is that subject to change over time based on, you know, the demands of the housing market, or you know, how strict do we want to be about that?
Thank you, Mr. Logan. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Were you aware of any community engagement from the applicant?
Not on this one, no, and I have not received any complaints, objections.
Were you aware of any community recommendations for the applicant to have community engagement?
No, well, we always advise folks to reach out to commissioners and written associations, all that stuff. I'm not aware of any communications they had.
And was your first denial, was it based off of the partial, was a lot size, and even though if the lot was in what you recommend, was it constantly approved? Was it wait?
Well, the real caveat with this one is that lot based. We had a case, it's on appeal at council, it's been deferred, but it's still a pipeline for council. Staff and staff and CPC both recommended denial because of this issue. They appealed it, so we'll see what happens there. But it's kind of a similar situation.
Any other questions, commissioners?
I have a question, Mr. Chair.
Oh, yes, sir. Please, Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you, Mr.
Apologies,
Chair.
I didn't see.
Not a problem. Mr. Mulkey, considering
your camera on? Commissioner Anderson, is your camera on?
It is on. I can see.
We can see you now. Thank you, sir.
Maybe I was sitting too low. In terms of community development and hierarchy and scale, where are the closest duplexes in the area or anything alternative to single family?
I think the question is if there was other duplex in the immediate area.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, I could pull up the zoning map real quick, but I'm fairly certain that most of the property in this area that's not directly along Second Avenue is zoned in R5A subdistrict within PD 595. I don't believe there are any duplex districts in the immediate area.
Are there any structures that are 36 feet in height in the area?
Residential structures, there wouldn't be, most of the surrounding area is zoned R5, and the max height in that district is 30 feet.
So this building, the proposed building, would kind of stand out as something different. Would you agree?
Potentially, we wouldn't know the max height of the structure that's actually going to be built here because this is a general zoning change, but they could go up to 36 feet in height. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mulkey. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Rubin.
And if we were to move, are deed restrictions possible here to get it, the height limitation consistent with surrounding R5?
Within PD 595, you can do restrictions.
I don't know, it's a PD, like PD with big restrictions.
Deed restrictions to the south on the adjacent case?
There you go. So yes, just as with the other case we discussed, that's
right. So just one last question, Mr. Foster. You said something earlier that you try to be creative, and you have been in other cases, but there is a partnership with the applicant, right? That the applicant at the end of the day it's their application, and they have to step up and say, hey, how about if we consider A or B?
Yeah, absolutely.
Any other questions, Commissioners? We'll go right next to the last case. Oh.
We could have had more. 3223-134 is an application for specific use permit for a tower antenna for cellular communication on property that's zoned CS Commercial Service District with an historic district overlay, historic district H33, Fair Park Historic District. It's located on the west line of Pennsylvania Avenue, north of Case 4th Street. It's actually internal, which was hard for me to describe it very well. It's very small with less than 0.1 acres. South Dallas location, this is the area and the land use. It's inside Fair Park. And what it's facing is basically an abandoned right-of-way, but it is Case 4th Street on the back. It's surrounded by warehouses. Some of them are for city use, parking lots. So it's again like the ancillary or storage portions of their park. But across that abandoned right-of-way, there is the back of a single-family neighborhood. That single-family neighborhood, I need to clarify, and I think I'll get it into the background portion, is the one that is generating RPS, and that RPS is capping the height of the tower. So therefore, the request in front of us is to allow a higher subject to an SUP to an otherwise allowed by right use. These are some views from the abandoned right of way. What you see here is a light pole. I asked the applicant to estimate. They were estimating that that's probably around 100 feet in height. And they were saying that it's approximately 80 feet from the location of the proposed tower. And I'm saying this because I have some street views from the single family, and we can look at this. How can we see this so we can estimate how the cell tower will be visible? All around the site from the abandoned right away. And this is the back of the single family across the street that's behind. Again, the back of the single family that's across. And this is where we're jumping on actually this portion is on multifamily. And you can see in here that light pole. Same from across, I was trying to look to see, can we see something? Will this encroach visually? Their exhibit contains a lot of exhibits actually. It's the site plan. They have a measurement from the right of way, from the property line of the residential property that generates the RPS. They have an illustration of the RPS. If they stay within the RPS, they can build a 90-foot tower, but what they need in order to have better coverage is 110. And then their site plan there, I asked them to put a little bit of landscaping to screen, but in technicality, they're basically screening the right of way that's in the back. The single family portion is already too far and well screened from this proposed tower. These are exhibits FYI. I was trying to understand why do they need this height and why cannot they stay under the RPS and not between the SUP. And you see they located the existing towers. There are towers as tall as 150 feet in height, both on Fair Park and across the neighborhood. And they did, it's a submittal requirement anyway. It's not going to be part of the ordinance, FYI. What is the coverage looking like without the tower and with the tower? So that's why they precisely chose the location. Staff recommendation is approval for a 10-year period with eligibility for automatic renewals for additional 2 10-year periods, subject to site elevation plan and conditions. The applicant requested 30 years. Staff basically wanted them to come back in 10 years with staff so we can see if it has an impact on them.
Thank you very much. Questions, Commissioners? Commissioner?
Just one question on the fence on the perimeter. It's noted as being a 6-foot tall chain link fence with vinyl slats. However, the graphic appears to include barbed wire. Are you aware that they're going to include barbed wire?
Oh, I did not. It looks like it, but it says 6 foot. Yes, exactly.
If there says slats, is there anything that would prohibit them from doing that if it's not listed in the condition?
It's residential, but it wouldn't be as a street.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Was there any recommendation for them to possibly put a, instead of just a fence, also putting a structural wall around, kind of sort of one of the ones that they already, another T-Mobile, tower that's close to that six at Elsie Bay and Second Avenue.
I know.
They will be putting those up.
Like a masonry wall or something, right? Yeah, I know, but they don't have like immediate adjacency, so I mean, it's nice of them to put a fence, and I think they need it for security purposes for their equipment to be secure. I would always take more landscaping, but if you can put it in a condition if you want to. I didn't have concerns because again, it's not straight visible, it's like hidden in the park.
So, I know that it's not so much residential adjacency. How close is it to the proposed new park that's coming? Especially since we're talking about a long term.
I think it's on the other side. Yeah, isn't it? Oh. So I'm looking. I think the new parks are somewhere in these parking lots, right? If I'm.
It looks.
Is it here or is it on the other side?
The new park is on the feature side. Oh, feature side.
I think it's on this side, on these parking lots, or this is P2. So I don't think it's still like hidden between this parking lot and this warehouses. This is the public parking lot.
Is those the warehouses like what the symphony is in the back?
I don't know. I know this warehouse is used by our parks department.
That's what I mean. Can you go to see the word and then look at council saying words there? And then use it so that if it is anywhere close to the park, and maybe, and you know that's a longer term further out to actually, well, that'd be a recommendation to build a masonry
Sure.
in that wall.
Let me try and share on here we go.
The it's on it's before you get to Castle, right? And then there's
So, yes, but the warehouses are in the back of that. The warehouses are, so there will be some type of parking or something close to it because most of the warehouses are on that back part.
She's got it.
I got the aerial pool. So our post tower is here. You see where it says Parks Department? And I think all the parks.
What is those two structures?
This is P2.
That's what?
This is P2. Can you see
Yeah,
it?
P2. And so what's the one in the back? That house in the back?
This one?
Uh-huh.
This I think that's the abandoned right away that I was talking about.
On what street is that?
I think it used to be Pennsylvania, was it? Right? It used to be Pennsylvania, yeah. P2 is here and it's elevated across this abandoned right away.
So it's that back to the park. So yeah, I think that makes sense. So
Yeah.
possibly makes their wall, so that it is gonna be adjacent to that park.
Oh, I see. Well, I don't know the park. Does it come?
Or it's gonna be the whole side of the tree.
But does it come like the tower is here?
See your cursor.
No.
Yeah, well, it's hard to see it. It takes a minute to pop up.
Okay. So I see that's where the tower will be, here.
Again, what's the street in front of it?
It's not a street, it's an abandoned right away, it's inside and you cannot get access. You can only get access from this back of Pennsylvania.
Cursor's here, right? And this is what you called out as Pennsylvania?
Yeah,
Yes.
so what's that back, that's the part that.
This big one in here,
You can go to the backwaters, to East Green, so it is accessible for the public. Accessible for the public.
No. Hold on. So Chair, if I may. This little thing is the
Plans for development of Pennsylvania as a part of the park development that Commissioner Miller is mentioning.
I cannot sit on that.
Okay. We just have to make sure they're walking.
Any other questions, commissioners?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ritter. Commissioners, Mr. Poole, is not available now.
There he is.
Oh, he is?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
let me say bye.
He's in a training.
Awesome. Good morning, sir.
Mr. Chair, I think this is just.
Good morning, Commissioners. Can everybody hear me okay?
You briefed it previously.
Okay, you have briefed this before, so just, any need to brief it today? Okay.
It's a notice update.
All right, so then,
All right. Mr. Poole, is it correct that this is back before us as a notice update?
Yes, I don't believe we briefed it before, but if you don't need the briefing, I'm okay with that as well.
We can brief it at the time of the hearing.
okay, we'll brief it when we hear it. Mr. Poole. Enjoy your training, sir. Okay, Commissioners, that takes us to the end. We had one consideration. It's 11:54, and that concludes the briefing of the Dallas City Planning Commission. Commissioners, enjoy your lunch. I'll see you at the Horseshoe at 12:30.
Those are small.